told the weather outside is not that cold. And if you take my hand, I'll walk with you to Georgia.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Country with Celine. I'm your host, Celine Chamarky, and on today's show, we welcome Lawrence Maxwell. Lawrence, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. The sun is shining here in PEI. Happy to be here.
I love it. You know, the sun is shining here in BC too, and you don't really get many days of that, so gotta be grateful.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll take it when we can get it for sure.
Yeah. When does your summer officially kick in, though? Like, when does the weather actually get very nice and stay consistent?
I feel like we've got like 2 good weeks in the summer for swimming in the ocean because we're surrounded by beaches everywhere, but there's really like a short window that you can actually swim comfortably. I'd
Okay.
say mid-July is kind of when it starts, and realistically, it you can probably go till the end of August and swim pretty comfortably.
When you say pretty comfortably, like, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, like there's crazy people who kind of get in the water when it's freezing cold, and
Okay.
I just even in May it's too cold for me, and when it gets to September that's too cold for me. I got to hit that sweet spot that's just
That's fair.
July and August or nothing else.
Well, it's the Atlantic Ocean. I feel like that ocean's always really cold. I don't think it's ever
It
really
is.
that warm. Yeah.
That's
Um,
true.
but I feel like a lot of people listening, most of them are Canadians, but honestly, there's a good chunk that aren't Canadian and they've never even been out east or even to Ontario. Some people haven't even been to Toronto. But so if someone was to go and visit PEI, which I recommend because I think it is stunning there, what would you say they should do when they head out there?
Well, I'd say there's so many great like restaurants, and seafood is such a big part of our like culinary tourist kind of cuisine. Like it if you're going to a beach, there's always going to be like a little seafood shack not too far away. So I personally love to venture out of Charlottetown, and it doesn't take more than 20 minutes to get to a really nice beach from downtown. So I'd go to like the Point Prim Chowder House. I'd go looking for sea glass at some beaches on the South Shore, North Shore if you want to swim. I really like the water there. It's more clear. But yeah, I just think you can't really go wrong, and you can't really get too far away from the water. So just make sure that you come in a good window. But Charlottetown, like there's a lot of great restaurants, and the music scene's pretty great there now with the Trailside Music Hall. So taking a show there, yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Lawrence. I'm sure lots of people are going to be adding those places to their list when they come up here because Canada is truly beautiful. You just have to come and have enough time to explore because there's a lot to see here. But enough about that. We're here to chat about music, and you got a new single that's out. It's called Blackout Curtain. So just talk a little bit about the story behind it and what this song means to you.
Yeah, so Blackout Curtain was a song I wrote in a room just next to this room that I'm in right now in my apartment. And I had moved in to this place about 4 years ago with my girlfriend, and she insisted that we get blackout curtains for the windows. And I didn't really know the purpose of these things. I thought all curtains were the same. I didn't know that some actually blocked light. Of course, a woman's touch knows all these fine details. So
Yeah.
I just kind of went along with it. And then after a little while, I started to realize, you know what? I kind of like these curtains, these blackout curtains. It's really nice just to sleep in and to not have to be woken up by the sun. And then sometimes I kind of realized it got a little too easy to stay in bed, and it was also, there's periods of life where, speaking of light and dark, there's the harder times, and I'm sure everyone has kind of experienced their own version of what that is for them. And for me, it was kind of some mental health issues that I'd kind of gone through with anxiety for a few years, and just trying to like source the root of that, and to try to discover where all these kind of feelings and this fear that seemed to just blindside me. I didn't really know where it was coming from. So all of a sudden, I just kind of was shook from bed one morning, and the lyrics to this song kind of just came into my head, and it just became this kind of anthem to myself almost, that um this metaphoric room that I'm in with the blackout curtain is also kind of like my mind, and it's possible to get outside of that. We're always so close to that other side of a good thought or a sunny day. Like it's never too far away, even when we think that it is. So the song just kind of came in a moment when I think I really needed it, and immediately just wrote the song by myself in that room and reached out to my producer Colin, and I said I want to record this as soon as possible and share it. So that's kind of where it began and kind of what I went through to get there. Um, there's been a good process of kind of coming out of those darker times, and a lot of it has been finding and re-engaging with my younger self, with my physical health, some mental health practices that I've kind of implemented. But that's just, I guess, the basic idea of where it came from.
No, I love the meaning behind it. And I never really thought of that actually with the blackout curtains. You think that you're kind of stuck in this situation and it's never going to get better. But if you just look, like if you just open them up, peel them open, and the positive side is right there. It's just
Mhm.
you don't really see that in the moment, which I never really thought of that. But yeah, it's so true. And that song, you wrote it in that room. Now I gotta ask, were the curtains shut or were they slightly open? What was how did you now I'm curious, I have to ask.
I think kind of like cinematically they were shut, and then as the song was kind of developing, I
Yeah.
wanted to actually see what I was writing down, so I had to open them up a little bit.
Well, there's a lot of people nowadays that are going through the motions and they're not feeling like themselves. They're going through a lot of anxiety or they're going through a season of depression. What would your message be to people who are going through that?
I'd say just start with the smallest thing possible that you can think of that is going to set you up for a win that day. Like for me, it was walking to the mailbox. Um, there was I used to get so winded and I feel like I couldn't catch my breath, and it was just I used to be so into fitness, and it just seemed like out of nowhere I was unable to kind of be at that same level. So just walking to the mailbox was kind of enough for me on that particular day. Um, and then eventually a friend had reached out to me and asked to go for a run, and that kind of made me nervous because I hadn't run in so long, but we went on the boardwalk at Victoria Park in Charlottetown, and we said that we would do about 3 kilometers. And then I ended up doing six with him. And then the next day I ran 10. And then I started training for like a marathon. And that became a goal for me. So, like, just having a big goal, but a small step that you can kind of take in the day to day is quite helpful, I found.
Did you end up running the marathon? Did you complete it?
I did. I've run two official marathons, and I
Nice.
ran one before I ran the official one just to make sure that I could do it. And I actually my watch was wrong, and I actually did 2 extra kilometers. So I said, okay, if I can do this, then I think I should be able to handle the official marathon.
Well, congratulations. That's massive. Not
Thank you.
everybody can say that they run a marathon. So,
Yeah, it's it was a lot of fun once you kind of get into it, but I guess once you just kind of have that bigger goal in mind, like the pain and the sweat kind of is secondary at that point, and you just kind of put up with it to get to the goal.
yep. Well,
Yeah.
just tracing back a little bit, just one foot in front of the other. That's all you really have to do.
Mhm.
You might feel better today, you might feel better tomorrow, the next day, but eventually everything will always get better if you try to make it better. But on another note here,
Yeah.
let's chat more new music. So, what else do we have coming up?
So I got a few shows coming up this summer is kind of just shaping up pretty nicely. I'm going to be heading to Nova Scotia on May 15th and 16th with Whitney Rose, and we're going to be performing at a couple places there. I've got a country kind of like variety show that I'm taking part in where it's a lot of music from like the late 90s and the early 2000s that honestly I have always loved, but I've never tried to sing that era of country before. I've always kind of either liked to sing the 70s country or like the 2010s like Americana. So like the Kenny Chesney and the Garth Brooks.
Um,
It's been a new kind of endeavor for me, but I'm really liking it. So we're doing a couple shows of that coming up. And as far as recordings, I've got some more stuff that has been recorded, and I'm just kind of in the process now of waiting to see what the next album is going to present itself to be. I've kind of gotten little hints and stuff, and little thoughts and ideas have come to mind, and some themes have kind of made themselves known to me, but I'm still just kind of taking my time and not trying to rush. I feel like I've rushed in the past, and I just want to take my time before I put out the next album. But I'd say if I haven't had it out this time next year, you can start coming after me to tell me to get going.
Okay. Yes, okay. All your fans are definitely going to come after you and tell you, okay, hey, it's time to put out a new album, Lawrence. We've been
Let's
waiting years
go.
for this. Let's get it going. But yeah, you want, because albums essentially are your little babies, they're your projects. You want it to be perfect before you put it out into the world because you're going to get a lot of people, A, criticizing it, or a lot of people like glorifying it, one or the other. But you just want to make sure it's perfect to yourself before you actually put it out there and let other people figure out if they like it or not. But it takes time. It really does take time. But how did you get into music? How did this all happen for you? Was it something that your family was involved in or something you discovered later in life?
Well, for me, growing up, my dad used to sing at family parties. He'd be the guy with the
So cute.
guitar, and he would be the guy that kind of brought all the kids together, and that to me always felt special, like having my brothers and my sisters and my cousins and everybody kind of get together and sing it along. With him kind of being the reason why it all happened, I thought that was so cool. For years, I kind of was so scared to sing in front of anybody, so I just didn't do it. It took leaving the province. I was actually in British Columbia. Uh, I was in the Navy at the time, and I was at CFB Esquimalt, and there was this pub up the road. It's since burnt down, I believe, but they've put a liquor store there now. It's called the Tudor House, and they had a karaoke night on Thursday. And I just remember going there and I was like, you know what? I'm so far away from home. I drank a bunch of beer
Oh my God.
and I got up and I sang Conway Twitty, Hello, Darling. And from there, I just never looked back. And I wanted to go every week. I'd start going back to this karaoke bar, and the host, she'd start signing me up before I even got there for songs that she wanted me to sing. So I was like, having so much fun with that. And once I kind of got back to the East Coast, I was in Halifax for a bit, bought a guitar, tried to teach myself how to play it. I was about 19 at the time, so a little bit later to actually getting into music, but I'd always been kind of writing here and there, like little jokes or stories and songs, and finally having a way to put them to music now, like learning guitar. The songwriting kind of came pretty quickly after that, and it's been something for me that's just been I couldn't imagine my life without it at this point.
You've always had the bug in you. I feel like when you are born, either you have it in you or you don't really have it in you, but clearly you had it in you and somehow it figured its way to make itself known. But you were in the Navy?
Yeah, I was 4 years in the Naval Reserve, and about a year and a half of that was like full-time sailing.
Wow. Oh, how did you get in? How did you all of a sudden you said, I want to be in the Navy? Like, how did that all come to be? I'm sorry, I'm just curious.
Yeah, it's okay. I was young and I was in high school at the time actually, and it was just one of those situations where you don't know what you're going to do with your life. And I was 16 and I had a friend whose father was in the Navy, and he was not really an official recruiter, but he recruited me. He's like telling me I could see all these places in the world and get my education paid for. And I was like, well, I got nothing else to do, so that sounds good. So at 16, I went in with my mom and my dad, and they had to sign a form to allow me to join before I was 18. And then I went away for basic training the summer after grade 11. And then after I graduated high school, I did a year at college where I was still kind of part-time with the reserves. And then after that, flew out to BC where I did like my trades training. And then from there, just was full-time in Halifax sailing out of there. And yeah, it was great. It was great for 4 years, but I knew it wasn't something I could see myself doing in the long term. And I was kind of grateful for the opportunity, for all the people I met, but also that it was kind of during a peacetime. And yeah, I think if anyone doesn't know what they're going to do in life, it's certainly not a bad way to go. I would recommend it to anyone who's kind of looking for direction as a young person and wants to just take a few years to figure that out. And maybe it will be a great career for them. But for me, I kind of started moving in a different direction. Um, Once I saw there was a guy on a ship with a guitar, and again, it's just like bringing the people together, and that's what I always loved about music was just bringing people together with this common shared experience. And so once I decided that I wanted to do that, it became quite obvious in my mind that that was the path forward.
That's so interesting. I've never spoken to anybody before who, like, usually when they become a musician, sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, I had passions of like being a famous hockey player or a baseball player or a football player or a track star, whatever it may be," but never from the Navy to a musician. I love that. It's so different. It really is so different. But now you're a full-time musician and clearly you're making your name known. So, and you have new songs that are coming out. You've got a project that you're working on. You're making sure that it's going to be perfect before you get it out into the world. And you were also a nom well, you were not a nom well, you were a nominee, but you also won Entertainer of the Year in PEI multiple years in a row. How does that make you feel? Because you're from there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I just kind of being I just remember my first album got nominated for the country award there. And from there I just kind of been kind of grinding, doing shows and putting out new music and touring, starting to tour internationally and just developing all these different shows, put together a Merle Haggard tribute and was just I feel like I had many lines in the water and I love that. I love kind of having many different projects on the go at one time and um, focusing on writing has kind of just been like a daily thing for me. So it's not like anything else takes away from that. That's just part of the practice for me. But the Entertainer of the Year award was pretty cool to win because that one's voted on by the people, and
Yeah.
those awards I find always kind of cool when people recognize you, whether it's fans or your fellow musicians, your peers, kind of coming together and putting your name forward for something like that was pretty cool. Yeah.
What would you say if you have to name three things that make an entertainer a great entertainer? What would it be?
I think having a connection with the audience and listening to an audience. I feel like you can have a plan when you go up. It's great to have a plan. And I love theater. I love the idea of having something that's like kind of written and set in stone. This is what's going to happen. But kind of what makes the music unique is that it's a bit more of a conversation and a back and forth where you're feeding off the audience and they're feeding off of you. So I'd say listening to the audience, um, delivering kind of like your life depends on it, like it's the last time you ever get to sing. I love that mindset. I just love being there. Um, and third, I'd say throw as many high kicks as you can.
High kicks, like an
Oh,
actual, like a high kick.
oh yeah, that's my go-to move. I think that's how I won, is throwing high kicks.
Okay, I think I need to really do more research here and see these high kicks. Like, how high can you kick? Very high?
Well, I think I can kick higher when I'm on stage because of adrenaline, but then I kind of like realize oh, I probably should have stretched a little before that. So
Oh,
I try to implement some stretching now before I go on stage.
and don't do leg day before you do a high kick because you're just gonna pull something and it's not gonna be
Oh,
fun.
no, do yoga.
Yoga, yes, yoga. You know what you should also try next time? Crowd surf. I feel like
There you
that would make
go.
you entertainer of the year even more, right?
You know what? That's how you do it for the Junos. That's the next
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. Next time, just hop in the crowd. I'm sure they'll love it. I mean, preferably not if they're sitting down at tables. No.
Right, right, right. Yeah.
But if
Cavendish
they're,
Beach Music Festival.
yeah, there we can do it. There we can
Yeah,
do it. Now you also started the Lawrence Maxwell Musician Support Fund organization. So just share a little bit about, because I was reading a little bit about that story, but I want to hear it from your perspective as to how that all came to be.
certainly. Yeah. So I was touring with my band. We went over to perform at the Tunder Festival in Denmark, and it was a wonderful festival. I'm so glad for the experience. Not so grateful for the travel portion of it, getting there and returning home. I guess long story short, we had missed a connecting flight and we had reported that, and someone didn't communicate that to the Air Canada ticketing people. So all of our uh, return flights were canceled. That's five people, and we had to rebook flights. And in total, because it was so last minute, we need to get home. We were out of pocket $17,000 and not just something I had kicking around, you know. Lucky enough I had a limit on my credit card that I could swing it at the time, but I just remember thinking that, oh geez, I might be done for here. This could be the end of my touring experience. And my bandmates and my family kind of helped me through that time just to develop a plan to start to fundraise as we awaited a decision from the airline to see if we are going to get any money back. So we started different fundraising campaigns, and all the while I said, if I do get money back, I'm going to start this fund that's going to help other musicians who might, find themselves in a tough situation, or just to give them some support, just to support the creative process and the arts a little bit here in PEI. So a couple of initiatives, we did get some of the money back, and so some of the fundraising went to recoup the loss, and then whatever was left of that, I started this fund. I sponsored a show for some artists. It's actually going to be taking place this summer. So I'm sponsoring that. And then I got the songwriting contest. So I put the call out to all PEI songwriters, doesn't matter what level in the career that they're at, just to create an original song. And it's going to be scored on by these judges from off island because everybody knows each other here. So it wouldn't be fair. Um, and I got an overwhelming amount of submissions, and it was just awesome. And out of that, we picked 5 finalists to do a live show that's going to be happening later this month at the Trailside in Charlottetown. The audience gets to vote on it. The winner gets $1,000 and recording studio time. So it's just a way that I'm now looking to kind of give back to the community that was so good to me and supported me, and hopefully to keep it going and to reinvest some of that money so that we can kind of keep doing it year after year.
No, that's amazing how you took a situation like that and you turned it into something so good, and you're just giving back to the community because as a musician, it is difficult out there. It's tough to make money, and when you do make money, to have something like this happen and all of it just completely vanishes because of something that's not even your fault. It's like the airline's fault. That's hard. That's a hard blow, and thank God you did have the funds on your visa to do that, because there's a lot of people that probably don't have that sort of limit on their credit card to do that. But I will say they should have given you back all of it, not just some of it. They have so much money. I mean, I'm not here to bicker about it or anything like that, but I'm just saying from my perspective, they should have given you back that and more, honestly. But anyways,
Yeah.
what you're doing is what you're doing is great. I mean, and like you were saying, so May 22nd, that's the finale. That's when everyone can come on out and watch some great live music and also vote for their favorite artist or songwriter. So that's super exciting. You must be like you can't wait for that to happen.
Absolutely. I've never done a show like this before. I've been involved in songwriter circles, but I've never actually like hosted one, and let alone a competition. And to be able to
Yeah.
give out some money that night is going to be so cool. And yeah, there's going to be some audience participation, and I'm doing some giveaways. So it's going to be like a fun, interactive night with everybody there. And it's just going to be, yeah, a night of celebrating some brand new PEI music. It's going to be fun.
Do you have the big check ready to go? Like the big check. You come on, you have to have it.
I think I'll have to like just make one that's like comically really bad, and then just have like $100 bills that I can just whip out and kind of like fan that or something. I don't know.
No, you got to do something,
Yeah.
something big to
It'll be
like,
big.
yeah,
Yeah,
you got to
confetti
do
poppers and yeah.
everything. And you got to channel your inner MC voice because you're hosting it. So
That's
you got
right.
to, your inner Ryan Seacrest.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
This is the Lawrence Maxwell musician songwriter finale.
perfect. Yes, that's exactly. You should do the voiceovers too. So when it starts, like you're like the voice of God that comes in. Oh,
Geez, I got work to do now.
you got work. I'm giving you ideas here. So,
That's great.
Lauren, just write them down. Just give me the royalties after. Everything you make, a portion goes to Celine. I just met her, but here you go.
We'll hire you as a judge next year too.
Perfect. I'll fly all the way out from BC all the way to PEI. It's not like it's a big travel day, not at
Easy.
all. Yeah, easy peasy. Well, thanks, Lawrence, for chatting with me today on Country with Celine. Appreciate it. I love getting to know you a little bit more. Your song Blackout Curtain, really great meaning behind that song, and I feel like a lot of people can they can really take that song into themselves and just understand and make them not feel alone, because there's a lot of people I feel like they feel they're alone in certain situations like that. But country music really does unite everybody, and it just makes everybody feel like we're not alone and we're one big family, which is why I love working in country music, because the songs just unite everybody. But thank you again, Lawrence. Appreciate it. And I can't wait to see the new music that you have coming up your sleeve soon enough. Hopefully next year. It better be next year. If not, you're gonna have lots of people after you.
Well, thanks so much. It was great to meet you as well, and that's certainly the goal of mine is just to be a part of that community and to share that. So I appreciate hearing that and thanks so much.